What's the true scriptural meaning of forgiveness? What does the word mean when it says that you must forgive or you can't be forgiven? Let's look at those answers through the otiot, the Father's original, ancient, pictographic letters. I've got it right here. Shalom, my friends. Today I'm going to talk to you about forgiving or forgiveness. But before I dig into that, I wanted to cover a couple of things. I had a couple of people asking me questions. One person was asking about the name Yahshua, saying that, Yah, of course, is the Father's name, but Shua means this, that, and the other thing. I don't even remember what she was saying, and I said to her, well, you're looking at westernized interpretations or definitions of the Hebrew, and I'm not into that anymore. Not since the Father's been showing me the ancient pictographic otiot, that's the word for letters. It's amazing because I'm just getting more and more revelation that it's not about language. It seems that all language has taken away from and added to the Father's word. Naturally, Aramaic Hebrew, the Father's word was written in that, but here we are thousands of years later, and those languages have been westernized. As you know, I'll point that out again when we look at these words, forgive and forgiveness, as I point out pretty much every time we do this now. But, I told her, says, look, you're talking about westernized dictionaries, that say this means that, and that's not, I'm not interested in that anymore. My previous video before this one, I did the Father's name, and I did Yeshua's name, and I did Elohim. That's what I'm interested in. Boy, I'm telling you, this is how the Father has protected His Word and kept people from adding to it or taking away from it, because when we do these studies using the otiot, you can't mess around with it. It's just pure and basic. Like I say over and over again, one oat means a foot. It's a foot. You can't go anywhere with that. It's a foot. Or another one's a door. That's a door. You can't get abstract with these. And it's amazing me, my friends. It really is amazing me. Because in Zephaniah, that's Zephaniah, I believe it's chapter 3, verse 9, where the Father says, in the last days, His children, He will return them to a clean lip, a pure understanding, a clean original speech. And I think He's talking about these otiot, because that's been uncorrupted. You can't corrupt it. He did this on purpose, I know. So anyway, I told her, you're looking at language, westernized language, and I'm not interested in that anymore. Look at what I said about the name of Yeshua in my previous video, and you'll see what that name means. Forget these these modern dictionaries and Strong's Concordance, they're all really, they're useless. Anyway, someone else was asking me, I guess he was looking at the Father's name, Yahweh. And he says, what about the vowel pointings? He referred to the nikud. These are dottings or pointings that were, they were developed in the early Middle Ages. And what is used today was created by the Masoretes of Tiberias between 500 and 1000 A.D. That's 500 years after Yeshua left the earth. In 1996, the Academy of the Hebrew Language developed standardized rules for spelling without these dottings or pointings. The Nakid are often the unnamed focus of controversy regarding the interpretation of Yod-He-Wah-He, the Father's name, of which the conventional English forms are Jehovah, that one's bad. That one's really cursing the Father. And Yahweh. Now, I have to tell you, in my previous videos, you'll see me saying Yahweh. That's always my way of pronouncing the Father's name, because my Jiddu, my grandfather, taught me how to say that name, and he was raised in Syria speaking Aramaic, the language that Yeshua spoke. And we're talking about a man that was born in the 1800s. I don't know anybody older than him. You'll always see me also saying Yahweh, because some people are really adamant, it's not Yahweh, it has to be Yahweh. And then others are adamant, no, it has to be Yahweh or not Yahweh, And, these people, they get really adamant about this and say, if you don't pronounce the name this way, you're going to hell. Those people are lost. They're worshiping magic, And I've said time and time and time and time again, the Father listens to our hearts. It doesn't matter even if you're praying to Him and calling Him Jehovah, not knowing what a wicked name that is. He's listening to your heart. He knows that you don't understand. He's listening to your heart, and He knows in your heart you're praying to Him and that your love is for Him. And in fact, when this one person was asking me about these pointings in the Father's name, I answered him, I said, as far as I know, with the ancient pictographic otiot, there's no pointings. And the Father's name is Yod-He-Wah-He, and Yod-He would be Yah, and Wah-He would be Hwah. I don't see how to get an A in there. To me, it's Yahweh. But the pointings, that came, that's man-made. And I don't see how you can come up with Yahweh, and I'm beginning to think that, Yahweh, no, I'm not accepting that one anymore. It's westernized. His name is Yahweh. And, if somebody has a problem with that, have a problem, whatever. I never had a problem with Yahweh, and I still don't. If, somebody wants to say Yahweh, whatever, The important thing is, do you love Him? And, if you're getting caught up in pronunciation, that's the flesh. It's not about you. It's about Him. And, I just want to cover this quickly, too. You got to beware of this westernized stuff. I'm trying to go back with you to the beginning, because the Father is the same yesterday, today, and tomorrow. And if that's true, and we know it is, then His heart is with these ancient pictograph otiot. That's what He originally gave. His heart is there today because it was there yesterday, and it will be there tomorrow. And that's where His heart is. That's where our heart should be. And plus, when I look at these and I see the purity, and the simplicity. It's so simple. There's no confusion. There's no complication. There's no divisiveness. It's so pure that it's just amazing me more and more and more. The more we get into this, the more I'm amazed. And you know, forget about, you don't need to learn Hebrew. It's not about the language. It's all about these otiot. And you know, just as an example, if you look up the word faith, Strong's Exhaustive Concordance will give you the number H539. It's the word Aman. I did a video on this recently. You can check that out. You know, you'll see that interpreted into English most often as believe or believed. And sometimes, you know, you see the word faith. Well, if you look at my video and look at what Aman means according to the otiot, you'll see that it gives you a picture that is clear and understanding and very simple to understand. Where, you know, faith, what's faith? You look it up in a dictionary, it says belief. Well, you're right back where you started. What's belief? Faith. What's faith? Belief. You know, bing, bing. What is this, a ping pong tournament? In Numbers, chapter 11, verse 12, it uses the word Aman, which is always interpreted as faith or belief, in terms of nursing, breastfeeding. In Deuteronomy, chapter 28:59, it uses that word, and the English there is long continuance. In Deuteronomy 28:66, it interprets the word as no assurance. In Ruth, it's used for the word nurse, you know, breastfeeding, nursing a child again. In 1 Samuel 3:20, it's interpreted as established. Samuel was established to be a prophet. In 1 Samuel 25:28, it says that Yahweh will make you a sure house. And the word sure, Aman, is interpreted as sure. And in 2 Samuel 7:16, thy kingdom will be established. Aman was interpreted as established. 2 Kings, it says in chapter 10, verse 1, to them that brought up his children. Brought up is Aman. And in Psalm 78:37, it's interpreted as steadfast. In Jeremiah 15:18, it's interpreted as failing, as waters that fail. That's Aman. So you have this Aman, which is most often interpreted as faith or belief, but in other places it's interpreted as fail, brought up, verified, established, breastfeeding, nursing, to be sure, something that's established, something has no assurance, another time long continuance. You can see that the English interpretations of the word Aman, it's all over the place. So, what we're doing here on my YouTube channel is we're skipping all that. And when it comes to a scripture and we want more understanding, we're going to look at those key words. Forget the Hebrew language, Aramaic language, Greek language, dump all that. We go and we find out what was the original Aramaic Hebrew word that was written there. And then we look at the otiot, the letters, and do what I'm about to do now with the word forgive. And you know, this is, someone asked me to do this, and I thank you, my friend, for bringing it up. This is a beautiful one to look at. You know, Yeshua said, you know, if you don't forgive someone else, then you can't be forgiven by the Father, or by Elohim, by Yeshua, by the Ruach. So what does it mean to forgive? let's take a look here at the root word for forgive. It's 3 otiot: samech, lamed, and chet. Read from the right to the left. Samech is a thorn. A thorn grabs things and holds on to them. It also, Samech talks about the Father's hedge of protection. In the Aramaic, that would be Gader HaKodesh. HaKodesh means dedicated. Gader is a hedge. And Samech also talks about infinity, forever. Then we have Lamed. Lamed is the shepherd's staff. It's the Father's, represents the Father's teachings. It has to do with you teaching the Father's teachings. It has to do with you and I learning His teachings. The staff has to do with protecting, steering, and guiding His sheep. And then we have Chet, which it divides things. It's for protection. It's like a fence. It surrounds and protects the sheep. And it also has to do with the spiritual gifts, the gifts of the Ruach. So, this is the word for forgive. You would say selach. The word is selach. You have samech, lamed, chet. Selach. Samech is S. Lamed is the L, la. And chet is the guttural ch. Selach. It's easy to read. The word is selach. And it's often interpreted as forgive, pardon, or to spare someone something. Again, it's a ping pong game. What does forgive mean? It means to pardon. What does pardon mean? It means to forgive. What does it mean to spare someone? Well, it means to forgive them. What does it mean to spare someone? Well, you can pardon them. It's a ping pong game. Each word takes you back to the same abstract idea that means different things to different people. Not the otiot. The otiot is talking about samech, lamed, chet. It's a thorn. A thorn hurts. It grabs onto you and it holds you. I mean, you have to forgive somebody. There's something poking at you, right? It talks about the Father's Gader HaKodesh, His hedge of protection. Well, if His hedge of protection is around you, you're not going to be unforgiving, because if you are unforgiving, you don't have His hedge of protection. The enemy, the devil, can come and attack you because you're breaking one of the Father's commandments. You're disobeying one of His loving instructions. What the Father's commandments are loving instructions to His children. What for? To keep you away from the harm that can come to you from the adversary, Satan. So if you're unforgiving, and He's telling you, be forgiving, because if you can't forgive others, you can't be forgiven. Why? Because you're breaking one of His loving instructions that protects you. The devil will have his way with you. And samech also has to do with infinity. I mean, you can't, if you got this thorn, it's poking at you, you want His hedge of protection, you have to obey His commandments, and that's what we're going to get into in the next letter with Lamed. And it's infinite, it's forever. You can't just do it for 5 minutes. This has to be a permanent thing in your heart. Then we go to the other outside letter, chet. Chet, it divides things. Well, if you have an issue about forgiveness, there's a little division going on there. You're angry at somebody for something. You've been divided from them. Chet is defense. It protects. And really, your act of forgiveness is like surrounding that person with a fence of protection. When you forgive them, you're protecting them from the enemy. And chet also has to do with the gifts of the Ruach. Now, if you don't have the indwelling Ruach, you don't have those gifts, you know. The fruit of the Ruach is not going to be in you. If you do have the indwelling Ruach, it's going to be easier for you to forgive because you will have the gifts of knowledge, you know, knowing that other person's situation is not what it appears to be. Oftentimes somebody does something hurtful, they didn't mean to, you know. There are people out there who do mean to do hateful, wicked things, but oftentimes that's not the case. And if you have the gift of knowledge, which is from the Ruach, you'll know in your heart that person did not really intend to hurt you the way you were hurt. None of us are perfect. We make mistakes. And of course, with the fruit of the Ruach, you're more able to forgive because you have patience and kindness in your heart. So, to forgive means to have a piercing thorn grabbing you, but with the Father's hedge of protection around you, you are not going to feel pain from it, and you are going to be that way in a steady, steadfast, ongoing manner that goes into infinity. And you're going to be applying the Ruach and surrounding that person with your forgiveness, protecting them from the enemy. And then we have the heart of the word, Lamed. It's all about the Father's teachings. Torah means teaching, not law. Again, the shepherd's staff, Lamed, it also has to do with protecting and steering and guiding. So the Father's teachings are going to protect you and steer you and guide you in His ways by you applying the gifts of the Ruach and the fruit of the Ruach in you, being forgiving, and to allow His hedge of protection to surround you by not reacting to that piercing thorn and being forgiving. And not only are you going to receive His teachings by being forgiving, you are going to teach the other person the Father's teachings, and you will be steering and guiding them, and again, protecting them, because if they receive the Father's teachings most readily because you're being forgiving, that has a strong effect on them. That protects them from the enemy as well as you. So, you know, what's forgiveness? Oh, you know, I'll forgive him. I'll pardon him. I won't forget what he did. I'll pardon him. I'll forgive him. I'll spare him my wrath. That doesn't get you there. Those words don't get you there. But the otiot, they sure do. Now, take a look at this. Here's the word for forgiveness. And that is selicha. Forgive was selach. This is selicha. Forgiveness. Strong's exhaustive H5547. And it says that it means pardon, forgiveness. You know, same ping pong game again. But here we have samech, lamed, yod, chet, and he. So it's the same, what we just looked at with samech, lamed, and chet. But yod is put before chet, and he is after chet. So now we take the two outside letters for forgiveness, and it's samech and he. Now here You have a thorn. It's grabbing you, it's holding you. But the Father's hedge of protection surrounds you infinitely, and you don't feel it because of He, where you're worshiping Him in spirit, not in flesh. Worshiping Him in flesh would be you saying, yeah, I'll pardon that person, I'll spare him my wrath. You know, that's in the flesh. Worshiping Him in spirit is, the Father tells me that I need to forgive others if I'm to be forgiven, because we all have sin, we all make mistakes. That's worshiping Him in spirit. That's giving Him the awe that He certainly deserves. And that brings you revelation. Hey, it's revelation. Now we go to the next outer letters that are further in. We have Lammott and Fent. And these are both having to do with protection. From what? From the enemy. The Lammott is the staff. It protects by steering and guiding yourself by applying the Father's teachings, and the person you're forgiving by letting them see you applying the Father's teaching, and then they learn His teaching. That protects them and you from the enemy. Chet, again, is, protection. It's that fence, and that fence is the forgiveness of a hug and applying the gifts of the Ruach. Now in the center is Yod, forgiveness. Now the heart of the word is Yod, and Yod is the arm and hand. It's your actions. It's what you do that expresses forgiveness. Look, this stuff, I'm telling you, I hope and I imagine you are as amazed as I am about the kind of revelation we're getting with these studies, using the otiot and getting away from languages and westernized dictionaries saying that, this Hebrew samech, that means, samech means to forgive, to pardon, and to spare someone. That is not getting anybody anywhere. Man, this is the devil's tool. All these languages have added to and taken away from the Father's Word by coming up with all these abstract, westernized, if you haven't watched my previous video, Having the Mind of Christ, Having the Mind of Yeshua, watch that video. That that was the seed that the Father planted in me to start delivering this message about His pure language, the otiot, not interpreting, saying that, the Hebrew word samech means to pardon and to forgive and to spare. And it's a word, it's pronounced samech. This is all, getting into the mouth. Pronunciation of words, who cares how it's pronounced? Whether it's samech or samech or smech, that doesn't matter. That gets people into contention and argument about things that don't matter. What matters is, look at the otiot. What do these letters mean? Bingo, that brings us home. That delivers the Father's message, and it doesn't take away from or add to His Word. These are concrete terms, not abstract terms. Very exciting. I'm creating a store on Zazzle.com. It's Zazzle.com/Qaddam, Qaddam. You'll see a link to it if you go to my YouTube channel and click on the About button. You'll see a link to my store. And I'm creating stuff that helps us learn more. For example, I have the 22 otiot on a 3-foot by 1-foot poster. You can put it on your wall, and it has all the definitions of each ot, each letter, everything that's in my book. And you can get my book, click this link here if you haven't got my book about the otiot. But in my store you'll see a chart. You can put it on your wall, easy reference. T-shirts that have things that help us teach others. I have a t-shirt about we are saved by grace through faith. And the way the t-shirt is written out, we are saved by grace is real big, and to the side of that are the otiot, and under that it says, you know, by pitching a tent with Elohim. And then through faith, and next to the word faith is the otiot for faith, and under that it says, you know, by growing in His Word, something to that effect. So you can look at the t-shirt and you see where you're saved by grace through faith, but it also stands out in such a way that it says we are saved by pitching a tent with Elohim through staying in His Word and constantly growing in His Word. Great, you know, way to teach others these deeper meanings that we're getting from the otiot. So anyway, that's our video for this week. I hope this has been a berekah to you, my friend. It certainly is giving me a great berekah, digging into this stuff and presenting it to you. Until next time, shalom, my friends.
Who do you say the Son of Man is? Some say John the Baptist, others say Elijah, still others Jeremiah, or one of the prophets. But I pose the question today now, who do you